Very good.
Thank you, everybody. Good evening. It's 5:03 Pacific time, and we have very brief. Yes, I know we're being recorded, Apple. Thank you. We have a brief meeting tonight. John Barbera, as you heard, will join us in a few minutes. I think he has somebody calling in. Let me see. No, maybe not. Oh, attendees. Hold on. Oh, no. Okay. Well, John will know more when he gets here in a few minutes. Good evening. This is the February meeting of the Community Issues Committee. And I want to say hello to everybody. And we will begin very simply with public comment on non-agenda items. Anybody wishing to speak, please show us a hand. And my accompanist is in the background, the dog. So sorry if we'll keep him as quiet as possible. I see a hand. That must be John DeMeglio. Hello, John.
Hi, I don't know if I'm muted or not. Hold on. Yeah, hi, Dan.
You're on. You're
Hi,
good.
everybody. Yeah, I just want to, this is just, I guess, a comment that I need to make is that we in this neighborhood are still looking at the bus line, and also we're looking at the trash trucks on the side of Westmont. And I just want to know when we can address that. Thank you.
Thank you. We will address it. It's coming, but we'll get to that in a minute. Thank you. And any other hands?
Finally.
Good. Thank you. Okay, we will move on. When John joins us, he'll probably say something about the skate park. I think Andy Harris was supposed to call in from the Skate Park Association. Don't believe he's on with us, but John will know more when he arrives in a few minutes. I want to read to you the latest. If we move on briefly to item number 4 on the agenda. This is the latest from Seal Beach, from the Public Information Office about the property on North Gaffey Street. I asked the fellow if there had been any movement in since our last meeting on that property, which is in discussions for being leased. And he wrote, this was last week. Hi, Dan, we are getting there, but still nothing final. I think they are leaning, they being the Navy, are leaning towards releasing the final environmental assessment for the marine terminal property as is. The marine terminal is the one on Terminal Island, which is in the city of Long Beach. But then doing a supplemental environmental assessment for the main terminal property. They will do that later this year. If that is what takes place, we would not get final word on the on the plan for the main terminal property until late this year at the earliest. Hope to have an announcement within the next few weeks on what the definite way forward is going to be. So we wait with bated breath. The fact that they're thinking they have to do anything about an environmental assessment or reworking it, I'm not sure what it tells us, but at the very least, there won't be any further real updates on that for a while. But I do make it a point to email him every couple of weeks and sometimes even call him to see if anything is happening. But that's the update on that for now. We're also waiting to hear back from the folks that work the use the ball fields on North Gaffey Street, which are on that same property, but not connected with the leasing of the property. They were waiting to hear back from the Department of Defense about how much time they will have at that property. It appears to be a minimum of 6 months, could be longer if the city of Los Angeles and the city of Lomita reach agreement with the Department of Defense. But they, that's up in the air. And I think specifically John is waiting to hear back from the guy happens to be his neighbor, but he's also the one that is the main advocate and the main lease, the main guy that rents the property for the ball fields for the community.
Dan, you got two hands up, Pat and Chuck.
Sorry. Who and Chuck?
Yeah,
Pat Nave.
Okay, I heard Pat. Pat's name was first. Let's start with Pat. Pat?
Yeah, did I understand you to say that the Navy is splitting the environmental work between the terminal and the part of it that's on Gaffey?
Yes.
Could you make a note and ask them the next time you talk to them, ask them why they're splitting it? I mean, the two are tied together, aren't they?
I will email him tomorrow. This came up some months ago that it was that they viewed it as two different properties, that they're trying to dispense with the Long Beach side as quickly as possible. And they're really, or they're going to keep it. Frankly, I don't know what their plan is for that. And since it's in the city of Long Beach, I frankly lost some interest in it. That's Long Beach's situation, but it is a good question in terms of how it relates to Gaffey Street. The implication has been that the lease for Gaffey Street is completely separate from anything that would happen at the marine terminal.
Yeah, I see Chuck is, I asked the question from a point of having no information at all. Really.
Right.
And Chuck is nodding his head. I think he knows something more about that. Is there something about how they're going to use the two properties that makes it okay to consider them separately? One can go forward without the other, for example.
Well, that's absolutely what I will ask him about.
Yeah.
And he will probably at first claim no knowledge, but knowing how he operates, he'll go get an answer for us. Chuck? Chuck?
you mentioned 6 months, but I didn't get the connection with 6 months. What was happening in 6 months on the ball field?
This was with regard to the Bobby Sox baseball fields and the other fields there on North Gaffey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what did they say? 6 months what?
Well, there was an interim decision that would have allowed them 6 months of usage and more
Okay.
time to negotiate. And to
6
my
months.
knowledge, that has not changed. But that's what I'm hoping John will find out from his neighbor who runs the show. John, I don't think John will know tonight, but when he gets here, we'll ask him about it.
I'm here.
Hello, John. Back
Hello.
to John DeMeglio for just a moment. Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay, I think I'm unmuted. When we started this thing with the Navy depot there, it was supposed to be some kind of strategic thing that we keep this in place because they needed to fuel ships in an emergency. I think since then we haven't fueled any ships at all. That was just a front. And from what I understand, they're going to get rid of that in the Navy Mall and there on Terminal Island. That's what I understand. So yeah, that was just a big front. Now we're just dealing with this piece of property here. Thank you.
Thank you, John. I think you're right. I'm not sure I'd use the word fraud, but they clearly had something in mind that they didn't share, or their thinking evolved as it went along. from the
I
initial
didn't
prospect.
say-
I think you're correct.
I didn't say fraud, I said front. It was just a front.
Oh, a front. Okay,
Yeah,
thank you for that.
but I could use that word too, no problem.
Yeah, not many letters different.
Thanks for that. Yeah,
Point.
difference of just a few letters. That's all it is. Thanks, John. That's a good point there. Oh, so I'll be emailing this fellow tomorrow and speak to what John just talked about, but also ask the questions Pat's asking. That will be very helpful. Your information tonight, your questions are very helpful in me emailing him tomorrow. So thank you. Glad to welcome John Barbera to the evening's festivities. John, all is well? You're up and running?
Yeah.
Good. Did you have any contact with Andy Harris?
Well, I emailed him earlier this afternoon and I haven't heard back from him yet. And I tried calling him when I was on my way back, picking up my wife. And I texted him twice. I haven't
Okay.
heard. I just now tried calling him. It's not, he could be, because I know he's a contractor and he could have got tied up on something. So I'm hoping
He's undoubtedly busy raising prices on materials. So thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, John. Our interest here is in terms of the community, this benefit to the community that's going to occur. But it also goes back to something Chuck asked about earlier, the designation of this property. And I realize I don't think I printed something out that I meant to. We have been told that the skate park will be for public use. It will be public property, but it will be not be designated as a city park, at least not initially. Recreation and Parks will have the option to later so designated, but it won't be initially. However, in my reading of the rules and the reason we're talking about this is for purposes of our video recording, is its proximity to property that's been identified as intended to be a marijuana dispensary on Gaffey Street. We initially believed that since it would not be a designated city park, it would not fall under the minimum distance requirements that accrue to businesses like this that are near parks and schools and daycare centers and that sort of thing. However, my reading of the, I apologize for not printing this. My reading of the city's rules for locating these dispensaries indicates that since it's within 750 feet or actually much less of a space designated for public use, it doesn't necessarily have to be a park by my reading of it. I will, tomorrow I will forward you all those pages from the city rules about this, and you can help me
give me
draw.
a second. Give me a second and let me screen share it. Is that the one you sent me?
Yes.
Okay, so let me bring it up. Hold on.
Thank you.
This is exactly why I brought up that point.
I know, Chuck. I know, and I appreciate it. And it may bear fruit, so to speak. I see we have our whole committee's here tonight. Thank you all. And John's gonna find that, bring it up. And then the next test will be for me to find where I thought it said what I think it said. But I believe it's of interest.
Dan, I have my hand up. Can I just, before
Yes, John, please.
before John brings that
Yes.
up, I have a few comments on it, is that we need signage there so the police can do their job. We need a closed at a certain time, and any kind of signage that we can get to control that place.
You're talking about the skate park.
Yes,
Yeah.
any type of signage we can to get there, so the police have something that they can go off of and cite people for. You know, it has to be controlled or it's going to be out of control. And, you know, I'm not really worried about the drug place on dispensary. I'd rather see it legally done than illegally done, because it's going to be illegally done there anyways. But we need police support. We're going to have a lot of police support down there. And then somebody wanted me to say this, so I'm bringing this out.
Yes,
And if we can get together and figure out the right signage that we need, and we need a time where it's got to be closed, whether it's 10 p.m. or whatever. I think that way people aren't just hanging out there, and the police have something to go off of, that they can cite people and get people out of the area. And then hopefully we're going to deal with graffiti and all that stuff too. That's just my comment.
that's a really good comment, really important points. And you're absolutely right. It's hard to enforce something that isn't posted as being enforceable. And I'm imagining in my fantasy world that the Skate Park Association and the city are crafting this, but it's, since it isn't specifically a designated city park, at least at first, that is a really good question. Well, how will it be controlled? It's public property, so the city has the right to monitor behavior there and hours and that sort of thing. But you're right, getting the signage up is an important, very important thing to do. And as I just want to say on what John has on the screen now, these are just, since there's, I think your point is well taken, John, about better legal than illegal. Absolutely. However, there's been blowback in some quarters at the idea of a dispensary being in that location. And I think it's sort of human nature that if something you're uncomfortable with comes within too close of your domicile, your castle, you're going to react to it. So I just want to find out what the rules are and whether they need to be applied in this case. John, can you scroll down a little bit?
Yeah.
And forgive me. Oh, I can make this bigger. Oh, this is great. Keep going. Rose, I think it's on the next page. Keep going, please. Ooh. Modify the definition of public park to include public parks located outside of Los Angeles city limits, and clarify that the definition includes open space zoned properties that are used as park and recreation facilities. Currently, all cannabis retailers must observe minimum distancing requirements from all public parks and open space zoned land within city limits. So I think that paragraph raises a question about whether this business would need to observe the rules of distance from these public occupied spaces. So I didn't intend to go any further with this tonight, just to let Chuck and everybody know that there is wording here that could raise questions as to the efficacy of that business being there. So thank you, John, for putting that up. And this is something we'll continue to watch. I believe the business has applied for a permit to run a marijuana dispensary, but Nothing I've heard from the council office indicates that they're very close to it yet. I think this is one of those newfangled issues that comes up in cities all the time where we really don't have a lot of history or experience with it. So everybody's feeling their way along. And they know what they want to do. They know how many dispensaries they want. They know generally how they're to be run, but our city's very good at writing rules, not always great at enforcing them or even making sure they all sync up. So we'll continue to follow this for sure. That brings us to,
Dan,
yes, I'm sorry.
Chuck's had his hand up for a while.
Chuck, I'm sorry, Chuck. Forgive me for being blind to yellow hands. Go ahead, please.
I just don't want to forget about the strip park. That's Northwest San Pedro's big contribution to the China shipping lawsuit. The strip park on Gaffney Street, that's a public park.
Good point. Good point, Chuck. Thank you. Writing that one down. Very good point, Chuck. Thank you.
Andy
Now-
Harris is on.
Okay, do you want to conduct the interview, please?
Yes. Guys, this is Andy Harris that's on here. He's the one that is overseeing the project. It's his project. He's the man. And so he's the one that's doing everything on this and getting this park up and running. So Andy is going to explain how things are going and what we're in store for and when do we look like for completion and everything. So Andy, it's all yours. Just unmute yourself and you got it.
Good evening, Andy.
Hi, can everybody hear me?
Yes,
Okay. All right, so yeah, good evening, guys. It looks like it's all guys. I don't see any ladies yet. Are there any ladies in the house?
there's a participant. Yes.
Okay, good. My name is Andy Harris, a longtime San Pedro resident. Been working on the Channel Street Skate Park for now about 20 years. It didn't really start out as a skate park. It started out as kind of just a couple little ramps to ride under the freeway. I'm sure all you guys are pretty aware of a little bit of the history involved in this project. So let's fast forward to the fact that about 5 to 6 months ago, we signed a lease with the city of Los Angeles it's a 20-year lease, no money involved, but we are now a tenant of the city of Los Angeles under the jurisdiction of the General Services Department in the city of LA to maintain and operate this skateboard park, community built skateboard park under the freeway. So one of the things that had to happen in order for this to go forward was we needed to have plans made for all the stuff that's actually already been built, albeit illegally over the years. So we do have plans that we are now following to get ready to reopen. One of the big issues was the guard railings surrounding the skateboard park needed to be up to code. So luckily, a local LA skate park company donated labor and donated material along with Vans skateboarding shoes, some funds to pay for this material. And those those guardrails have all been put up for the most part at this point. We're in the process of painting them. We were doing some priming of the metal rails. And now we're finishing up with the final finish painting. There's a couple areas that still need to have guardrails added, but that should all be wrapping up in the next month. We had to do some pretty heavy concrete repair to one area that was surrounding the freeway pillar that is in the actual skate park area. So it had to be torn out for a retrofit kind of work that Caltrans did when they were doing the adding the lane to the 110. So now we're rebuilding areas that were torn out. We placed a foam barrier between new construction and the freeway pillar so as to not have problems in the future with this thing being stuck up against an existing freeway pillar. We now have a buffered gap. That was what was asked of us. So we went ahead and did that. We've got one more concrete pour to finish that area off. And then some cosmetic fixes, a lot of painting, a lot of cleaning. We do now have 2 storage containers that we've had down there for quite some time. We've built an enclosure on each side of those that houses our porta potties that are locked behind a locked steel gate, and our dumpsters that we have locked behind a steel gate as well, with a combination that the companies can get in and out to service those things. So anybody that lives in the area, if you've driven by, you've definitely noticed that it's a lot cleaner down there. There's some art on the containers. We're hoping to see a lot more public art down there soon. And that, yeah, we're looking hopefully at a late spring opening. We do have to go through a DBS inspection on the guard railings and a little bit of our drainage issues and a couple other small cosmetic items on the plans, such as parking lot striping and bike racks that we need to provide and that kind of thing. But we're hoping that everything goes well with DBS and we should be ready to reopen in the late spring.
Great. Andy, my son-in-law, who's just turned 40, is a pretty avid skateboarder, or used to be, but still follows it. He says the facility there is very well known to skateboarders outside of this area. It's a known quantity. It's because of its grassroots beginning part, apparently. Does that sound right to you?
Absolutely. One of the big things that's come out of this is it's a do-it-yourself park. It's built by skateboarders for skateboarders. And one thing that happened over the years is you started to see people coming from out of town to experience this. There's a park like this in Portland, Oregon called Burnside. There's a park like this, another do-it-yourself park up in Washington called Marginal Way. It's underneath the Marginal Way Expressway up there in Seattle. It's kind of our sister park because it's right next to the harbor as well. There's the FDR Park in Philadelphia. That is another DIY park under a freeway overpass. Washington Street in San Diego. All of these parks have drawn a lot of people from around the country and the world because they're built by skateboarders, one. Two, so skateboarders it's kind of like when you design a golf course, you don't want to just have anybody design a golf course. You want to have somebody that knows golf. You want to know, it's not a cookie cutter thing that you can just repeat over and over. They're going to be different each time. So we built something that people really like and they want to experience. And I think a lot of people come to it and see the community spirit of it, not just that it's a fun place to skate, but also that the community, the kids, the adults, some skateboarders, some not, came together to build this thing in an eyesore spot that wasn't being used for anything else except for shooting up and vagrancy and illegal dumping. I mean, we still deal with it daily with illegal dumping down there. But now that we have an actual functional locked up dumpster situation, we as the community can keep the place clean. So it's really cool to see, over the years, to see people come from, I've had people pull up into the parking lot from Sweden, and they drove there from LAX to come skate the park. Guys from Japan that were camping out there for 3 weeks just to skate the park. Can you imagine what this does for local businesses? You know, you've got people coming in to stay in hotels to stay at this place, to skate this place. You've got people coming into town and spending money in town. So yes, I do agree with you there.
Well,
Andy, we got three people. We got Lori Jacobs and then John DeMiglio and then Pat Nave. So
Okay.
Lori, go ahead with your question. Lori, unmute.
Thank you. He just unmuted me. Andy, great to see you. I was on the board for 9 years. We connected a few times, and your resiliency and sticking with this is just incredible because yes, this is great for our community. And I'd love, John and I are both parts of the, and I think Vic too, on the outreach committee. So as this progresses, I'd love to work with you to promote it. And I'm thinking, could be a great opportunity to paint some type of mural or signage that says the name of it and tells a little bit of the story. We'll have to put something over it so it doesn't get tagged, or if it does, we can clean it off. But I think the story is part of it, that it was made by, you know, skateboarders. So think about that. Stay in contact with us on how we can promote it and improve signage so people really understand the history of it, and any other things that you can think of that we can do to promote it and enhance the park. And I know somebody earlier messaged we should put some signage over what the laws are there for people too, and there should be rules for people attending or using the skate park.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Lori. And those things are being addressed. In fact, when we were open, before we were closed in 14 for the freeway construction, we had a large sign there that kind of laid out everything. And plans are to put a sign back there, you know, information for, you know, people coming to visit that, you know, about safety equipment, about, you know, what's legal down there, what's not legal down there, you know, that kind of stuff. And also plans are in place to put a sign up for the San Pedro Skate Park Association, which is our nonprofit that runs the organization and runs the park, as well as the name of the skate park. I'm getting a lot of interest in public art ever since our containers got painted by a local artist. There's been some attempts over the last couple months, unbeknownst to us, but we'd come down there and see the art on the walls. Caltrans is pretty quick to take down anything, whether it's pretty or not. But what I have been working with Council District 15 is trying to get a conversation going with Patrick O'Donnell's office and Caltrans. Maybe not exactly now, but maybe once we're done with construction and ready to open, we want to go full on with public art down there. I mean, we're talking, you drive by, people, think about how many people drive by that place daily, and it's drab. It's you know, if you drive by now, you see little pockets of art. We've got some cool stuff on the walls, but just imagine that whole parking lot as this just colorful, just spot of color as you drive by. It'd be absolutely amazing. I don't know how many of you are familiar with Chicano Park down in San Diego. It's an area under an overpass that is over the years has become a mecca of Latino art on the freeway pilings, and it's beautiful artwork. It's not, you know, just tagging or anything. It's beautiful, sanctioned artwork. It would behoove you guys to actually take a look at Chicano Park to kind of get an idea of what our vision is for this place. And I don't exactly know the theme of any of the art, except for the fact that we're near the waterfront. I work on the waterfront for many, many years. That's definitely a heavy theme that we speak about a lot down there. There's a lot of longshoremen that work on this project together. But yes, all those things you mentioned, Lori, we are definitely open to that, and any kind of help that we can get from the Northwest Council to help make that art become a reality, I think would be huge.
We can connect you, Andy, with the waterfront art district. with the people there. And just quickly, since you're talking to Caltrans, is there any opportunity to have a sign on the off ramp or the freeway saying skate park next exit or something?
Kind of an idea I never even thought of, but it's a possibility for sure.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
You know, and being that we're Italians, a nice art, like an Italian flag would be nice on one of the pillars. I'm sure, you know, some of my Italian constituents, especially, you know, on this committee, we would agree to have the nice Italian flag, you know.
Sounds
Hey,
good. We'll make some room for you, all right?
you know, I mean, Demiglu and I wouldn't mind having the Italian flag shown on a post. I'm quite sure, you know. Anyway, John, go ahead. You had a question?
Yeah, hi Andy, thank you for everything you've done and your crew. I've been following this from day one, watching you guys build this thing. Amazing, great. You guys do a fantastic job. And just keep doing what you're doing and you know, and do it your way. I want to help you in any way I can. I'm on the board also. Good friends with your brother George. And if you ever need me, George has my number. But I just love what you guys are doing. And my main concern is the signage and the rules, and also a time to shut it down so people aren't lingering all hours of the night. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can understand that concern. One of the things that we're looking at doing, right now the place is fenced with a large harbor department fence put up when we were closed in 2014.
Andy, excuse me, may I ask everyone to either mute themselves or keep it down while we're listening? Thank you. Thank you. Go ahead. Andy.
Yeah, so that the fence that's there that encloses the park right now, that's going to be gone, because the reality of it, it just looks like a prison. It's really was to keep people out while the park was closed. But that being said, with the new guardrails going in, and we have like a little archway entry in one area of the skate park that we'll be putting in a gate as well. You won't be able to keep people out completely. I mean, it is what it is. People are going to do what they're going to do in a lot of ways, but it will make it a lot more secure. One of the things that we want to talk about once we are ready to open is maybe a better lighting situation down there, especially for crime deterrence and graffiti deterrence and illegal dumping. Like I said, illegal dumping down there is maybe a worse problem than homelessness and vagrancy and all the drug use and all that kind of stuff that we've dealt with all the years down there. The illegal dumping is the big problem. I mean, almost every week we have a new pile of shit that we've got to deal with, and that's why getting that dumpster and getting weekly service down there has been a huge help to keeping that place clean. But going forward as well, I mean, we're going to be scheduling more cleanup days, more painting days, more days that like the community can come take part in it and learn a little bit more about what we're about, because really we all live in this town. I mean, it's not just that we're skateboarders. I mean, especially now that I'm older and I don't skate as much, I still skate quite a bit. It just hurts a lot more to fall on concrete. But I'm much more interested in the community aspect of this. I'm much more interested now in the community aspect of public art and of having a safe, fun place, creative place for kids to go. So I'm really looking forward to what this thing's going to become. I think it's a bright spot in an area that's been kind of gloomy for quite some time.
All right. Hey, Pat, go ahead.
Thank you. Andy, I know it's been a while because back when it started, your hair was a different color and I had hair. So
That's right.
my questions have to do with why it's in GSA and not in Rec and Parks.
Okay. Good question.
Yeah, well, the reason I'm concerned about it is because there are special government code provisions on liability that protect you and the citizens of Los Angeles for recreational use. It probably apply more with Rec and Parks than it does to general service? And then related to that is what kind of insurance requirements the city is requiring for you?
We have first of all, with the general services department, it was kind of an oddball thing for me too, my first question was, why is this not going to Rec and Parks? And I was told in not so many words from CD 15 that Rec and Parks didn't want to touch it. Didn't really get a lot more explanation than that. I felt like it was kind of like a little, a move to just put it somewhere. I don't understand the rationale. I'd never even heard of the General Services Department until we got placed in the General Services Department. So any kind of enlightenment that I can get from any of the board members about what exactly General Services does would be helpful. In regards to our insurance policy, we have a yearly policy that it basically is about 7 to 8. I think it's closer to $8,000 a year. It's $1 million policy. I don't have the details in front of me, so I can't really lay out exactly all the coverages. But I'd love to actually have more people have eyes on it to see how they feel about our liability in this, because I feel like we're taking a little bit of like chance here with our organization. We wanted this to be something that the city took, and we would be stewards, but we didn't want to have a liability policy that our organization had to be under, because it just felt kind of sketchy, but they really left us with a little option. And I felt like, talking with the board members, it felt like either we do this and we get this park back, or we just sit here and twiddle our thumbs and the thing just gets worse and worse and gets ruined, basically. So that's pretty much what I got there.
Okay, Andy. Yeah, we got Craig Goldfarb in attendees. Go ahead, Craig.
Hi, Andy.
Hi.
It's great that you got the park back open. I know it was supposed to be, only a few years, and this is like forever. And I'm a neighbor. I live right up on Channel.
Yes.
So I have the old concerns that I had about the skate park still exist. Which would be, there was a lot of drug activity over there. And there was a lot of people skateboarding down Gaffey and down Channel. And there was a lot of kids there during school hours, which concerned me. So what if anything are you planning to do about any of these?
The skateboarding down the streets, I don't think I can really help you much with, except for, kids are going to be kids and they're going to skate down the streets. I mean, whether a skate park's there or not, I think you're going to see kids going down hills. I don't really have a whole lot to tell you there. There was a period in time, Craig, that I kind of refer to as the dark times of Channel Street, where we were in limbo. We didn't know what was going to happen. It was a period in time when the original founders, myself, and my main partner, Robbie O'Connell, and a couple other guys that have been from the early days. It was a period of time where we were all having children, and we got really busy in life at that point. And admittedly, on my watch as well, it kind of fell into a little bit of a problem down there, to where you had a lot of people hanging out. It was turning into more of a hangout zone than it was a skate park. It felt like there was a little bit of a drug thing going on with like some people living down there in RVs that you'd see from time to time still down there. And it did dissipate once the park closed. and Peck Park opened up, you still had some of that element move up that way. But I think going forward, I know a lot of these guys that were younger at those ages. I'm 48 years old now. There's a lot of guys in their 30s now that 10 years ago, they weren't doing so hot. There was a lot of kids, a lot of confused kids out there. And a lot of those guys have come out of that. I see a lot of these young guys that I used to have a lot of trouble with down there partying, that kind of thing, that now have families, now found jobs. And things have changed. We have a large group of people that are ready to police this park. With it's our, it's something that's close to our hearts. And we don't want to see it ruined by people using it for reasons other than skateboarding. So all I can really give you is my word that we're going to work with the LAPD, and work with other, and the CHP, because the CHP does patrol through there, to make sure that this is a safe area for people to come visit with their kids, with their families, to check out some art, to check out some skateboarding, and not have that kind of element that was there, because I know it was there.
Andy, that speaks to what John DeMeglio was commenting on earlier about having written rules, which you guys buy into, but which assists law enforcement in
100%.
enforcing the behavior there. So that'll be an important part of it. I'm not sure whose hand was up first. Vic, do I see you? Let's do you,
it's
and then Vic.
Andy, you were asking about what the General Services Department does. I just did a quick look online, and their mission statement is provide city leadership in managing facilities, equipment, supplies, maintenance, and other support services to elected officials and city departments and residents in a safe, reliable, and efficient manner. Their popular services are parking services, supply services, building maintenance, fleet services. They've got a bunch of others that are listed on a separate page, but those are the top 4 that they show on their homepage. And the website, if you want to go to it, is gsc.lacity.org.
Okay.
There you go.
I feel like CD15 stuffed us there because they didn't know where the hell to put us. How about that?
Very likely. Very likely. That does happen.
Wouldn't be surprised.
I see John DeMeglio, and was there somebody else? Go ahead, John.
Yeah, no, he answered my question. The main thing I need to know is, or wondering about, is the proper signage so the police can go in there after hours and control it just a little bit.
Right.
I thoroughly agree with you. Look, I'm the CEO of this nonprofit. I've got 2 other individuals, board members, that are named on this nonprofit. It is in our best interest to make sure that we not only protect the lives and people visiting down there, but also to protect our asses as well, that we have the proper signage so the police can do their job. And one of my things that I've done over the last several years is try to forge relationships. I had a very tough time with the Port Police, to tell you the truth. The Port Police were not helpful, and I couldn't have been happier to find that one of the best things that happened out of this was finding out that the LAPD was going to be now taking over, watching over this area, as opposed to the Port Police. I mean, I could tell you stories for days about the poor treatment that we got for trying to do just positive things down there, just simply because we were down there. So one of my big things now is trying to forge those relationships with those law enforcement agencies, because it is absolutely integral that it's safe down there.
Very good. Andy,
One more
you
thing.
so much.
One more thing. I wanted to comment on Chicano Park in San Diego.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's more of a lowrider scene. I'm a lowrider myself. I got a lowrider car myself. And if you can incorporate, because it's a beautiful place down there, and it's just community sponsored. And if you can put something like that in the skateboarding scene in this area on Channel Street, and you can mimic that a little bit, I think you're right on the spot, man.
I mean, it's about community, you know, like that's why I bring in the ideas of the waterfront as well. Because look at the location of where we're at. We're right across from the harbor. There's so much history in town. And the
Pat, mute yourself, please.
I have to go. I've got another meeting at 6
Pat, Victor, mute everybody.
But listen, yes, I agree with you. And that's really just the spirit of it, to see Chicano Park. Chicano Park's actually got a skate park down there as well. And to see, it's the spirit of it, you know, just to see that that public art and what it does to a community. People come down there from all the world over just to see the art, you know? So if we could do something like that in town, oh man, I mean, it's just, I look at that, I'm down there all the time, guys. And I'm looking at this place and it's just like, it's drab and gray and it could be absolutely stunning.
Very good.
And the most important thing that I've noticed down there is just the fact that people are walking there from Wilmington and all over. It just puts the whole community together, whether it's Wilmington, San Pedro, Harbor City. Harbor City got its own skate park now. And it's just a great thing all the way around. Thank you.
You're welcome. And one more thing
Sure.
that I'd like to reiterate about this is when we started building down there and kids from Rancho would come down and skate and kids from the Taper area would come down to skate, and you had this kind of like melting pot down there because it was kind of in between neighborhoods right there, and they'd come down there and these guys would become friends that maybe would have never been friends, you know, because of this little melting pot of this place. The beauty of the skate park under the freeway is it's not bothering anybody. Skateboarding's loud, and this is a good location for it. If anything, it's helping the local businesses. I mean, talk to John over at Big Nick's and he'll tell you the reason they started selling slices by just like individual slices is because of the skate park, because so many kids were coming in to buy pizza. They don't want to buy a whole pizza. They want to buy a slice of pizza. So it's a good location for what we're doing. And I've already seen a lot of dividends of kids growing up. I mean, some of these kids have grown up to be solid men and women because of this place.
Good.
You know what it is that you have one common thing is skateboards. And it doesn't matter if you're part of the Wilmington area or part of the San Pedro area, part of the Harbor City area. It doesn't matter. Just like the lowrider community. Now it's just a lowrider. It doesn't matter. It's not really a gang thing anymore. It's just a car thing. And that's what you got going. You got a skateboard thing, and it's just 100% positive. And that's where you get these kids in their right state of mind. And that's what you're doing. I appreciate that.
Well, I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you guys being open to this because I think we can do some good things down there.
I think that's a great note to end on. And Andy, thank you for your time. John Barbera, do you want to wrap up?
Yeah, and Andy did a good thing. Hey, Andy, I'm going to call you later.
You got it.
After our meeting, I need to talk to you.
No problem.
Okay, so I'll give you a buzz, but you know, thanks, Andy, for coming on and now giving everybody an update. In our report, we'll have a little report for the council when we do our regular meeting, board meeting, and we can give them a good update on everything you said. So this was really great. We appreciate it. You know,
I appreciate you guys having me on.
Very
Thanks,
uplifting.
Andy.
Very uplifting. Thank you. Very good.
All right,
Boy,
guys, I got a jam.
yeah. Take care, Andy.
Take it
Take
easy.
care.
Good
You
night.
too.
Well, I think that's pretty great. That's pretty great. So moving on, I want to almost combine items 7 and 8. There are issues coming online that affect all of us. And there are issues that our committee and members of our committee have been interested in for a long time as well. And it's time, I think, to get back on some of them. I want to say that items 7 and 8 are things that we're looking into for future meetings, hopefully March. Specifically, I want to have a representative from the sanitation department come talk to us about the new composting and recycling rules for residential trash disposal. The city has already figured out what they're not going to allow and how they're going to fine us if we don't follow the rules. But I think we need to know what the rules are and what it is they're talking about first. My guess is they're making it up as they go along and studying it, but I'd like to hear that from somebody in the department. So we'll be inviting someone from sanitation and hopefully the council office to come talk to us in March about that. Similarly, we want to go back to some issues that have been talked about in the past, John DeMeglio specifically, but I think all of us have wondered about it. John had a great idea now in 2018 and 19 to modify a bus route from the top of the hill, the Park Plaza Shopping Center, down to Target. Seemed like a good idea and simple enough. Well, when you go to get bus routes changed or added, it's literally a federal case almost within the city. It falls under the purview of the planning department, not just the DOT. And I commit to moving on with this and getting somebody from planning to come talk to us about the whole issue of not just the specific route that was suggested, which is an excellent idea, but the whole notion of where we're headed with public transit in this area, specifically for San Pedro, which is at the end of the dog's tail of the city of Los Angeles, and has been underrepresented in rapid transit for a long time. So the two are kind of separate, but very much related. Local dash bus or DOT service, and then bigger picture metro service. They all need to be looked at from a San Pedro viewpoint. And that's something we'd like to continue doing. Similarly, there's an issue, a local, very micro local issue of trash disposal, private trash disposal guys hanging out on Westmont Avenue across the street from Home Depot. They're there all day. They tend to recline in the bike lane adjacent to their trucks. And it's something that needs to be addressed. And I promise to do that. And that will probably, we hope, mean a visit from, or a clear explanation from the Department of Transportation or Street Services or whoever's in charge of parking on that big route, that busy route. Vic, you have a question or comment?
Yeah, regarding the sanitation department and the rules of what goes in and what goes out, and specifically about the fines. If you haven't already invited them and you're going to pass questions on to them, I would ask them, how are they going to really be able to enforce the fines when people can walk by the trash containers when they're out on the street and put whatever they want in whichever one they want? When it comes to being able to prove that the homeowner is the one who should be fined and not some random person walking by. Case in point, dog droppings.
Good, very good point. And I would also, my curiosity was about the fact that I can't say everyone, but most people generally use plastic trash can liners now in their, especially in their kitchens and bathrooms. And you generally cinch them up and throw them in the can. So Are there going to be people going through people's trash bags looking for errant food scraps? It just seems unenforceable, unconscionable, and idiotic, but that's just me. So I'd love to give city sanitation a chance to talk about it, tell us what their real vision is, and what the way forward is as far as they're concerned. Thank you, Vic. So
Got
those,
one more.
Lori?
Am I unmuted?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I actually was gonna try and say something about the bus thing, but yeah, I would like more information on composting. It just adds another layer of complexity of playing with our trash, but I would like to better understand it. But you were talking about the bus lines, and there was an update that the supervisors passed something that is a new long range electric bus technology
Yes.
that they're trying
Yes.
to institute, and they're planning. Janice pushed very hard, Janice Hahn, to make sure that it goes all the way to downtown San Pedro. Okay, and so that was announced last week, an expansion of the Silver Line. Okay, with zero emissions. Is that what you're talking about?
That kind of thing. The idea of expanding bus and public transit service to San Pedro.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Well, if you want, I'll send information I
it's-
have to John Barbera, and he can forward it to you.
Well, and the major story today in the Breeze, I believe, about that very subject. Breeze or
Okay.
maybe even the Times. It's been today or yesterday. So
Okay,
so
I
it's
got a
on there.
press. I had a,
It's on their websites.
yeah, I had a press release from the county, so I'll forward it to it if it's anything different. But
Thank
yeah, that's good stuff. I just hope it's not just one line, like there's, that people have availability. They really need transit down here.
Well, and that gets to that comes back to John's point that it's not just getting people into San Pedro, it's getting people around San Pedro. And as San Pedro expands, and as young people tend not to drive the motor vehicles as much as they used to, and as some of us are aging and would like simple public transportation, it seems like an ideal time to expand local service in communities like San Pedro. So we'll get back on it and get the powers that be to at least talk to us about it. And
John
that's,
DeMiglio.
John, go ahead, please.
Okay, sorry, I'm at work now, so I've been listening to a little bit of it. And I have all the paperwork on what I presented before.
Yes.
I have everything. So, the bottom line is that if Buscanino's office doesn't get involved, it's not going to happen. We put together many things like the speed bumps on the Mary Star area, signage over there, nothing got done. But then you got Dan Lothar that got the speed bumps in, and he got the signage in without the board. They got we got to start having that Buscanino's office, and hopefully whoever's in there next supporting us. The
Yes.
neighbors are want it, and it's a service not only for our neighbors, but anybody coming from the lower part of San Pedro, Gaffey going to Target, and is able to go up on Western and maybe go to the new Panda Express that's up there or whatever,
John, your logic is impeccable, and we want to move back into the forward lane on looking at this. And
Got it. Okay,
and
let me know, and I want to get with you. I have all the, if you don't have it, I have everything.
I have your beautiful artwork, but I want the total paperwork package you had for me.
Yeah, okay. I'll have it.
Okay. Thank you, John. Thank you. Good luck at work.
Thank you.
With that, but John, you're at work, but the San Francisco Golden Gate Bridge is still behind you. It's remarkable.
Yeah, just pretend it's the Vincent Thomas Bridge.
Well, yeah, now it looks real because your hair's blowing out there by the bridge. Okay, good.
Yeah, I'm here.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, unless there's any other questions, comments from the group, want to thank you and wish you a good week. And John's very active right now. And I thank you. I thank you all. And Victor, thank you for keeping us in line on the on so many things. And John Barbera, thanks for honchoing the skate park with Andy for us. Thanks. And thanks to all of you for participating. Good to see good to see everyone virtually, and maybe as things move forward, we can see you out on the walking or at our local eateries, masked or unmasked. It'll be nice.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
Great meeting, Dan.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Everybody have a good night. Okay.
Yes, have a good night. Thanks.
Bye-bye.